Most families think financial change requires something dramatic, a huge business opportunity, a lottery-level breakthrough, years of perfect investing, or some lucky moment that suddenly changes everything overnight. But the older I get, the more I realize major financial transformation often begins with something much smaller. One valuable skill learned deeply enough to change the direction of an entire family over time. Because skills are different from trends. Trends come and go, markets rise and fall, industries evolve constantly, but a valuable skill keeps creating opportunities again and again, especially in a world that is becoming more digital every single year. And honestly, most people underestimate how powerful one skill can become when it compounds for years, because one skill can create income. Income can create investments. Investments can create assets. Assets can create freedom. And freedom can completely change the emotional environment inside a household, reducing stress, reducing fear, reducing the constant pressure that so many families quietly carry every day. And when I started thinking about it that way, I stopped looking for shortcuts and started looking for leverage, because leverage is what separates temporary income from long-term transformation. And in today's world, one of the biggest forms of leverage is digital knowledge, understanding systems that most people still ignore because they seem confusing, risky, or too new. And that's exactly why crypto became so important to me over time. Not because it was some magical shortcut to wealth, but because it forced me to develop skills connected to the future instead of the past. Skills related to digital finance, online systems, blockchain technology, decentralized economies, market psychology, content creation, digital communities, and long-term investing. And once I started learning those things seriously, I realized crypto was never only about coins or prices, it was about understanding where the world itself is moving. Because whether people like it or not, finance is becoming digital, ownership is becoming digital, money is becoming programmable, communities are becoming global, and the people who understand these systems early gain advantages that are difficult to imagine later. Just like the early internet created massive opportunities for those who learned it before everyone else understood its importance. And what fascinated me most was realizing that crypto rewards knowledge differently than traditional systems do. Because in traditional structures, people often spend years climbing slowly through rigid paths, but in digital systems, one valuable skill can suddenly create global opportunities regardless of location, background, or traditional credentials. And that changes everything for families willing to learn, because now financial growth is no longer limited entirely by geography or local opportunities. Someone with internet access, discipline, and the willingness to learn can build skills capable of generating income globally. And that's an extraordinary shift in human history, but most people still treat the internet mainly as entertainment instead of infrastructure. They consume endlessly, while a much smaller group quietly learns how digital systems actually work. And over time, that knowledge gap becomes a wealth gap, because the people building digital skills are positioning themselves for a completely different future than the people only consuming content every day. And this is where crypto becomes more than an investment conversation. It becomes an education conversation, because learning how crypto works forces you to understand economics, psychology, technology, risk management, market cycles, digital ownership, and long-term thinking all at once. And those skills extend far beyond investing itself. They change how you think about money permanently, because once you understand digital assets and decentralized systems, you begin realizing how much the financial world is evolving around us in real time. And families who ignore those changes completely may eventually struggle to adapt later, just like people who ignored the internet early missed enormous opportunities during the digital revolution. And I think that's the biggest reason one skill can truly change a family's future, because skills compound across generations. One person learns something valuable, applies it consistently, creates stability, teaches the next generation differently, and suddenly the entire trajectory of a family begins shifting slowly over time. Not because of luck, but because of knowledge. And crypto education has the potential to create exactly that kind of shift if approached correctly. Because the real value is not blindly buying random coins hoping to become rich overnight. The real value is understanding the system deeply enough to position yourself intelligently while the world continues moving in this direction. And positioning matters more than people realize, because opportunities are usually largest before they become obvious to everyone else. By the time something feels completely safe and accepted, most of the explosive growth has already happened, and history proves this repeatedly with every major technological shift. The early phase feels uncertain, confusing, even risky, but later it becomes normal and integrated into everyday life, And I believe crypto and blockchain technology are moving through that exact process right now, which is why learning these systems today can become incredibly valuable over the next decade, especially for families thinking long-term instead of emotionally, because long-term thinking is ultimately what builds generational change. Not emotional reactions, not hype, not chasing quick money, but understanding where the world is heading and developing skills aligned with that direction early enough to benefit from it over time. And once I understood that, crypto stopped looking like speculation to me and started looking like education, leverage, and positioning all combined together. Because even if markets fluctuate, the knowledge itself remains valuable. Understanding wallets, digital security, blockchain systems, decentralized finance, online communities, and digital ownership creates awareness that most people still lack completely, and awareness itself creates opportunities because you begin seeing shifts before they become obvious publicly. And over time, that ability becomes extremely valuable financially. And honestly, the greatest part about all of this is that one person in a family deciding to learn deeply can slowly influence everyone else around them. Children grow up understanding investing earlier. Financial conversations become more open, long-term thinking becomes normal, technology becomes less intimidating, and slowly, the household begins operating differently than before. Because wealth building is rarely one giant moment. It's usually a collection of mindset shifts repeated consistently across years. And one valuable skill can absolutely become the starting point for all of it, especially when that skill connects directly to one of the largest financial and technological transformations happening in the modern world. Which is exactly why I believe crypto, when approached with patience, education, discipline, and long-term thinking, can become far more than an investment opportunity. It can become the foundation of a completely different financial future for an entire family, not because it guarantees instant success, but because it teaches the exact kind of digital understanding, adaptability, and leverage that the future economy will reward more and more over time.